getting appointments or stuff, they're looking at my phone, so they look at my wrist and stuff, and they, oh, you follow Grant, so it's a good conversation, and the guy's always with me. Yeah,
That's
that's good,
awesome.
man. Hey, thanks for hopping on. I know you're a busy man, but I mean, some of the things that stuck out to me when I met you was just primarily your energy, right? And then when I got to know you, I got to see what where that energy comes from. So to
Yeah.
start with, to start with, who is Elijah? How they get started in business, and where you're at currently.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for having me. So, Elijah, that's a lot to unpack, but yeah. So, with big dreams, basically, I'm one of six. So, we had talked some at GrowthCon. I don't know how much you know, but yeah. So one of six. I have an older brother who I'm in business with, and then an older sister, and then two or three younger siblings too. So a fairly decent sized family, depending on who you ask. I know a lot of big families. So I was homeschooled actually. And yeah, just got some big dreams ready to take on the world, and this is just the beginning. But yeah, so we actually started business in high school. So
Hmm.
my brother friends that cut grass, and a lot of high school kids that cut grass when they're in high school. So I did too, and we just kind of turned it into something bigger. So and we fell in love with it because it was awesome. So I graduated high school in 2018, and then
Hmm.
Sam, he's like 2.5 years older, and he graduated college in 2018, and so he was going to be a police officer. He's got associates in criminal justice, but well, he didn't want to get shot. uh,
I see.
but and we had this little business thing going, and we're like, let's see what we can do. So we're like, let's give it 2 years, and well, we kind of fallen in love with it, and we've been doing it ever since then.
That's good. That's good. When you guys got started back then, how did that picture look like? Like, okay, were you guys that your parents were like, okay, here's $1 million, go open up your company, or was it slowly? How was that process like?
It was like just like you can imagine. We're like, hey, we want to make some money, and we had like one push mower, and we actually over the course of that summer, we were cutting like 8, 12 lawns, and we bought another push mower because that one kind of broke. We spent $50 on it, and that was like I can't even believe it. Like that was like a lot of money we spent on a push mower. I couldn't believe it. So it was a little John Deere push mower. That thing was a tank. But yeah, and we put it in our mom's minivan. So we had a Toyota Sienna. We threw it in the back, and yeah, we just drove around and did like our 12 lawns. We had an electric trimmer that we had to plug into someone's house. So and then our dad was big into garage sales, so he actually bought us a gas trimmer for $50 too, and I was freaking out. He's like, you got to pay me for it. He's like, trust me, you need this. And I was like, no. I was like, that was like way too much money. So yeah, that's kind of what it looked like. So that was the first year, and we made $5,000 the first year. And I was super excited. Then we bought a truck for $1,000. We bought a mower for three and a trailer for 1,000. So we spent our $5,000. We kept it all. Of course, we didn't pay taxes. And yeah, then the next year we kind of blew it up. So well, comparatively. So we had a big mower, we had a truck and a trailer. It was awesome.
So little by little, how old were you here?
So that was the first year when we had just push mowers. I was 15, so it would have been when I was 16.
15, 16.
So, but my
Okay.
brother was old enough to drive at the time, so he would have been 17, 17 or 18.
Okay.
So he could drive, so I just rode because I didn't have my driver's license yet, and
That's good. So back 15 years old, you got one truck, one electric mower, kind of like you're upgrading little by little. So fast forward March 2023. What's that equipment looking like today?
yeah. So well, yeah, equipment's ridiculous. The amount of money we spend on it is just crazy. So, I mean, we have three skid steers. Like two of them are pretty new cats. We have those are like 50 to 80,000 dollars. One of them's like brand new. And then we have an excavator, and then we have like three mini skid steers. Those are like the ones that you stand on. We have 13 trucks, I think, something like that. I lose count. I feel like we're like buying all kinds. So I've lost count, but I'm pretty sure it's 13. And then we have an estimate vehicle, and then obviously Sam and I each have a vehicle. So we have like 15 total or something like that. and then all kinds of trailers, dump trailers, utility trailers. My gosh, all the little hand tools and stuff. It doesn't feel like much, but when you start buying a bunch of Milwaukee stuff, compactors, saws, the works, man, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it starts stacking up. I mean, just in the trucks. So you went from a $5,000 budget to a half a million budget, or?
Yeah, so we like our equipment budget. So like right now to start this season off, our equipment budget right now is 125,000, but we did like a couple months ago spend like 80 on a skid steer. So
Mm,
we're buying equipment all year long, but like right now until I think we told them April 1st was 125. So, I mean, our equipment budget throughout the year though, we'll probably easily spend a quarter million
yeah.
easily.
No problem. Hey, well, that's good. You cannot have good players with average tools, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. So we tend to spend a lot more on the equipment and like the trucks, not so much. So we buy older used trucks for like $10,000, $15,000, and then we'll splurge a little bit on the bigger equipment because I don't want it to break down. That's what we really make the money with. So
Exactly. And that's the. I mean, you do landscaping, so that's that's what
yeah,
does the work, for the extra customer.
yeah.
Well, that's
Plus,
good.
guys like working with nice equipment. I mean,
Yeah,
there's nothing going out in a day and having stuff break down on you. It's just frustrating. You don't feel like you're doing it quickly and all that. So it's like just spend the money and get the nice stuff. Guys are a lot.
exactly. That's good. So you mentioned your brother, right? I mean, big
Yeah.
family. I can tell just when I met you, you're a big family guy. You like that. And then the question you asked Grant was really specific in terms of family, like looking into the future. Like, do you remember your question? I remember it because you were
I
you were
yeah.
you were raising your hand.
Dude, I was
You're
about to
right.
like I told you that I was about to walk up in front the stage and just like stand there with my hand like freaking hands.
That is funny. I kept looking back and he's still raising his hand. But
Yep.
I mean, whatever gets attention. But industry, family oriented. You do landscaping, working with your brother. Many people struggle with working with family. So how do you keep a great business going while also keep a great family environment at home?
Yeah. Okay. Well, so are you asking how we work together well, or how do we like keep our home lives kind of intact when we work?
Both.
Both. Okay. So one at a time. So how do we work together well? First things first. I would just equate it to just having a pretty strong relationship, and communicating well, but also so like at GrowthCon, Jesse Itzler and his wife were up there, and then same with Grant and Elena when they were having that conversation. They were talking about only getting upset about like nines and tens. So like if it's a seven or below, you just don't worry about it, or eights, nines, and tens. Like on a problem spectrum. So if something goes wrong and you're frustrated about it, if it's not an eight, nine, or a 10, just don't even worry about it. Just forget about it.
Mm,
I'd say that's a lot of it. Like, I mean, if something happens, like it's just whatever. You know what I mean? We trust each other to the point where like we both know we're working hard and we're giving it 100%. And when something goes wrong, unless it's like a big deal, we just forget about it. We move on. We know the other person's working super hard too. And it really comes down to, in my mind, trusting each other. And then as long as you're both working really hard, then it's perfect. And
mm,
we could split and we could do, we could go our separate ways and we could build something. But quite honestly, I would rather have something that's a little bit smaller and do it with people that I really enjoy working with than be than have a $1 billion company, but it's just me and I'm working with people I don't like. So it's been really important to me to just build a crew of guys that I really like working with. Because if I'm going to spend 40 hours a week, 50, 60 hours a week with people, like freaking better like working with you.
right.
So we're
Yeah.
a couple of the two of our salespeople are more or less friends from high school. Then their sisters are office managers. So it's a really, really close group of guys that we have.
Hmm, that's interesting. But also, it ties into the natural charisma you have. Because first, they got to be willing to work for you and then
Yeah.
work with you at the same time. I mean, if you doesn't matter if you got the brother of doesn't matter if you got my brother, you still have to convince me, to work with you. So, I mean, do you feel like your brother and you are equally working hard in the company, or do you feel sometimes you work harder? How do you manage that?
Yeah, so it is a little bit of a give and take, which is interesting. So, um, yeah, so he's married, and he has a
Mm,
son. Kind of changed a little bit, in the past. So he got married, I don't know, like a year and a half ago. He had a son in September, I believe. So that was a little bit of a change. I was like, okay, this is interesting. So he actually has his son on Fridays. Um, but so as of right now, like I have more time to put into the business. And I'm willing to accept that there's seasons for everything. So when like right now, I'm putting a little bit more time into the business than he is, but he still gives 100% the whole time he's here. And I can see that. I'm not worried about it. If I put in a little bit more time, when I'm here, that's fine with me, because season for it, because I'll be married at some point. Hopefully, would be my goal, right? And then, if I have kids, like I would expect him to do the same for me. So it's all right. There's a give and take with everything. So yeah.
yeah,
And then there have been times too where we have different responsibilities in business. So he'll be working harder than me, and sometimes I feel bad. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's never even. So you just got to be like, hey, whatever. I'm working harder right now, but there's going to be a time when you're working harder too. So
yeah. I feel like all you're requiring is pretty much 100% when you're at the job, and
yeah,
it's
I mean, he can't be like, dude, I'm only going to put in 20 hours a week. I'd be
mhm,
like,
yeah,
but he's still producing results. He's giving 100% when he's there. So like, yeah, and he still shows up every day. He's putting in a good 40, 50, probably 50 hours a week still. So it's not bad.
yeah. That's good. That's good. I mean, that's over average. I mean, the biggest thing is that if what is it?
I said, well, we're not trying to be average here.
That's over. But what's when it comes to developing a business, there's the balance between skill and will. So, do you feel your skill came first before your will, or were you willingly just like you were born a leader and you always knew you wanted to be a business owner? How that happened for you?
Yeah, so I would love to say that I was like it's definitely some of both.
Mm.
Because actually there was a couple like little businesses and stuff that I started before we started mowing. Like I made some like gunslings and I tried to sell those. I actually got them in two stores. I didn't really make any money, but and then we actually Sam and I and a friend when we were like 10, I was probably 10 and Sam was probably like 12 or whatever. And with a friend, we actually created a board game that we were going to try to sell. We had this big idea. We have a board game. We actually probably still have the board today, and you can play it. It's like a combination of like Risk and it's like a battle strategy, and it's really fun actually. But we never sold it. We just built it, and then we played it like with Risk pieces.
That's
So
funny.
I feel like a lot of it was parental influence,
Mm.
and I would love to say, oh, I built all the discipline and all like the good characteristics about me, but I mean, realistically, that's just not true. I mean, I had some just awesome parents, and they built well, I'm a product of them, right? Like you're a product of your environment, and they put me around good people, and they taught me a lot of good things. So and I learned from them, and then since then I've kind of gotten addicted to personal development business. I just love it. So then from there, that they like laid the foundation, and then I kind of took it from there. I was like, all right, I got this now, and now this is my responsibility. Now I'm going to grow myself. So they laid the foundation, but then I took it from there. And there's definitely still things I'm working on, and I'm not the best at. I'm not that great with confrontation, and I'm working on it. I tend to be too much of a pushover sometimes. I like to be a nice guy, but yeah, I mean, I would say it's the from that foundation, then it's the desire to learn and the will before the skill comes for sure.
You mentioned your parents. So, were your parents entrepreneurs, or
Uh,
they are entrepreneurs?
no, so my dad actually he worked for the Department of Revenue, so he worked for the state.
Hmm.
Um, just well, so he set a good example for work ethic. because
Hmm.
he worked at UPS and then the Department of Revenue. So he would wake up at like 2 o'clock in the morning. He started at 3, and then he worked from 3 to like around 8 o'clock in the morning. Took a little bit of a break. I'm sure probably ate breakfast or something. Then went to his next job, worked 8 to 6.
Mm.
So and then he would get home, eat dinner, go to bed. And so that was probably, I forget. Mom would probably be disappointed, but that was for the first, like, I don't know, 12 years of my life, 14 years of my life. And then like weekends, like he would just kind of sleep, but I saw that, and then
Mm.
after that, he was able to make it financially to a point where he could stop working that first job, because I mean that was just creating a huge toll on him. But yeah, that was besides that, they were just, good, usual, regular people,
Mm.
but they had values, so
Yeah, I can tell just by how you are. Like your parents did a great job with you, especially with building your confidence. Because it's like it's so easy to talk to you, and whenever you're in a room, like people want to talk to you and people want to listen to you. Not a lot of people have that one trait. So was it more your dad that influenced that part of you, or was it more your mom?
to be honest, I'm not sure.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't
I'm not sharing with your parents this recording.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, I mean, for me, in my case, I feel like my dad showed me a little bit of the business side, but my mom, with her example of waking up at 4 a.m., getting home at 10 p.m., was more like, okay, it's possible. My dad
Yeah.
showed me a structure, and my mom showed me like a roadmap that it can be done.
Yeah, I
You
would
know?
say my mom was definitely a believer. But and I would say they were definitely encouraging. My dad and I actually had an interesting relationship. And I say had because he actually passed away like 6 months ago.
Oh,
But
sorry
interesting
to hear
relationship.
that.
Thank you. In that I was a dork. Because I was always like challenging people by like always growing up. Like everything had to be good, and I hated when people didn't follow through or didn't work hard or whatever. So whenever he would like slack or anyone would slack in anything, I'd like call him out and be like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Man, I'm just not motivated to go out and like clean up the garage or whatever," and I'd give him a hard time for it or this or that. And yeah, so we really didn't have that like close of a connection. Um, Obviously we both loved each other and we had respect for each other in a father son relationship, but it's not like we were like lovey dovey close, and super close, which is so a lot of what I learned was what I didn't want,
Mm.
what I did want. I was like, I do not want that, because he was not, he wasn't in that great of shape, and he knew it, and I gave him a hard time for it. That was not really maybe the best move on my part, but and so some of the things I learned were like, okay, I don't want that. I don't want that. He was a great dad though, but not but yeah, some things you learn are more what you don't want than what you do want. But
Exactly. And
they
then
were always they were always
it's
very
also,
encouraged, so
yeah, it's also your ability to like, okay, I don't want to be like that. Because the other side, the people who are like, oh, my dad's like that, you know, kind of like the story of the two guys, two brothers. One ends up in the street homeless, and the other one gets rich and wealthy. They all say it's because their dad this. Oh, it's because my dad, because the dad was about, let's say the dad was, I think the story was like that the dad did it, he was not the best example. Let's say the dad was coming home drunk and stuff like that, and the homeless guy will say, oh, I'm homeless because my dad, because that
yes.
was the example. And then the wealthy guy will be like, I'm wealthy and rich because of my dad. It's the same reason, different results.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's good.
But
What do you tell me later?
yeah, well, I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, to set the record straight, I would say like, most of that was like more like fitness stuff, and I was like, man, like I don't want to be out of shape,
Yeah.
But he was a great dad,
Yeah,
so
no, I can tell. I want to meet your brother. That
yeah,
I
yeah.
I'll
next time when we'll connect, maybe next year at GrowthCon or something for sure.
Yeah, that's good. What do you think has been your y'all's biggest hurdle in business, and how do you guys came out on top?
Yeah, well, I don't think we're on top yet.
Oh,
um,
really?
but yeah, biggest hurdle. I don't know what I don't know, and
Mm,
don't know how to figure out what I don't know. So
mm,
I don't know what I'm doing. So
mhm.
that's like I don't always know the next step to take. So right now, one of the big things I'm working with is like delegation. So we did 2 million last year. We're making plans to do 4 million. I've never run a $4 million company before, and I'm having trouble finding people that are like super driven and like running $4 million companies, which is why I was at GrowthCon, and I'm really excited about it. But as we signed up for the 10x360 and all that jazz.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, it's been a lot of trial and error and trying to figure things out because I'm not I don't have a dad that maybe ran a big business and was like, hey, here's how you do this. I have some mentors and people that I call and ask questions to, uh, but not that necessarily run my type of business. So it's kind of hard. But I mean, for me, I guess right now that's kind of the hurdle I'm working with is how do I keep 7 people? I think it's about 7. Yeah, like kind of on our management team,
yeah.
super productive, all working in the same direction. That's my challenge right now. Because I'm more or less like the leader, and kind of everybody reports to me, and then Sam's like the back end, keeps everything organized, taxes, payroll, accounting. He's that, and then I'm like, go get him. I hire everybody or pretty much everybody, so they all like look to me and I'm, I drive. He helps obviously, but so yeah, it's sort of balancing that. That's my biggest challenge right now.
You're the people side of the business, and
Yeah,
he's operations and like numbers, which it's perfect balance. And that now I see how you guys work so good
yeah,
together.
yeah. So I'm like growth. He sort of
Mhm.
manages that growth and makes it work. And when when I don't fully put a piece together, he's there to put that piece together and make sure it doesn't fall apart.
One thing is stick out what you said. You said, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm running a $2 million company. So that takes some time to break through, right? Because you're still running $1 million+ company. So when did you start thinking bigger? Like from landscaping, 15-year-old making $5,000 in a summer to making 2 million and now thinking about building a $4 million business.
Yeah. So we I would definitely. I had no idea what was possible. I was just like, my dream, as we were starting out, like, what if we had like a couple employees, and like 2 trucks, and we could, just like send them out and they would work. Maybe 3 trucks, right? We could send them out, and then we could like kind of like run a business. We wouldn't have to do all the work. Like my dream was like to get out of the field. So, I knew that was possible. So kind of going in, that was my dream. But then, it's developed, and I would say I started thinking bigger as soon as I got into personal development. So I started, just like watching these like lawn mowing guys on YouTube, and then slowly that grew into watching people like Grant Cardone, like Ed Milet, like Patrick Bet David, Bedros Cooley, and all those guys. So I mean, I've watched like almost every single one of them, all of their videos. Not a lot of Gary Vee, but all those guys, they expand what you believe is possible, and that'll be a starting point. And then we went to a service autopilot conference, which is the CRM that we use. They put on a conference that was really cool to see. That was a huge year of growth for us. We went from that was like 2 years ago. We went from 600 to 1.3. So we like
Mm.
more than that was really exciting. Then like last year we went from 1.3 to 2. So now I'm like, all right, what are we doing? Because we only grew by like 50%. Like, that's pretty stupid. So um
Yeah.
yeah, they being around people that do think bigger. Oh my gosh, that like I didn't realize how much that helped, but that's a game changer. And then reading books and just letting yourself be influenced by those kinds of people.
Some people do have a hard time getting to read. So, what do you think about a person that says, "Oh, I'm not a morning person," or "I just don't learn through reading. I learn better through listening." What do you think about that?
Yeah, I say okay. So there are people that are like dyslexic, but
Hmm.
I'm actually a slow reader. My brother actually has dyslexia, um, but it's not like severe. But I mean, he does, but he actually reads. Uh, yeah, I was always the person that I didn't read. So I didn't. I mean, I hated reading in high school because we read all these stupid history books that were way too long. I literally skimmed everything and half cheated on my answers. Just don't. uh, so yeah, I didn't like reading, but I did 75 hard. That was like a year or two ago, and you have to read 10 pages a day. So I read 10 pages a day, and I was like, this is amazing. Like I feel so much smarter and sharper, and everything just like clicks better when I read. It's like a little brain workout. And plus, I mean, rich people read, so freaking read, you know. Even if it's not that much, like I just try to read 10 pages a day, whatever it is, even if it's 10 o'clock at night, I try to just pull out my book and read 10 pages. So yeah, it's more for me, it's more just consistency. But I listen to stuff too, because I mean, you can't read while you're driving, but you can listen to stuff while you're driving. So I do both. I have an Audible account. Try to do 2 books a month, listen to one and read one. So
What are you listening and reading right now?
I am reading the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth right now.
Mm.
And then I need to find a book to listen to. So I just actually recently finished it's The Secret to Peace and Happiness. It's actually more I'm a Catholic, so it is a Catholic based book, but it
Okay.
literally it's probably one of my favorite books. It's called
Mm.
Trustful Surrender to Divine Providence, and it puts a whole new spin on everything happens for a reason.
Mm.
It makes you walk through life and say, something happens, it's like, what a blessing.
Mm.
So that was really cool because that's an area I need to grow in as well. So not everything is like strictly business.
Yeah.
Book I listened to before that. I'm trying to
Mm.
remember. I don't know. There's so many, they all kind of keep blending together.
What's your favorite book? What's the book that created the most impact on you?
I was recommended to read oh my gosh, what's it called? I can picture it. It's got a purple cover. Um
Growing Pains.
no, it's
This was my purple cover book.
yeah, Scaling Up. Thank you. That's the book. Yeah, that's an amazing book.
Let's
The people
go.
section in that book is phenomenal. A manufacturing friend that seriously just chance that I met. He owns this huge manufacturing company, and he's willing to kind of mentor me. He
Mhm.
was like, "You need to read this book." So he was like, "You got to read it," and I did. And that was huge. Um,
Mm.
Other books though, Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink was great.
Oh yeah.
Sell or Be
Yeah.
Sold. Gosh, Grant Cardone, Sell or Be Sold. I read the
I'm
thing.
watching them right now as you mentioned them.
Yeah, that was amazing. I mean, like Closer Survival Guide too. I like all of Grant's books.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I just read Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within. I'm not really into like the super intellectual kind of like mind games. Like I'm more just like a more like a David Goggins kind of a guy. I just finished recently. That was actually probably the last one I listened to. Not If You're Not First, You're Last. His other one, his older one. No, that's not the name of his book. Never Finished is his new one.
Yeah.
Uh, can't Hurt Me. That's the name of it.
That's the
Uh,
first one. Yeah.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
just was solid.
He's a different human being, man. I don't think he's human.
You know, I
Guy's amazing.
yeah, he's ridiculous. I love it. It's amazing.
Guy's amazing. What's if you were to start this game again of entrepreneurship, what would you do differently now, knowing what you do, knowing what you know, but having no context and all those things, no resources? What will you do? How will you start a company today?
Okay, so no resources. How would I start a company? Man, I would
Hmm.
I would do it
But you
your way.
got you got all you got all the knowledge, but you have
Yeah,
no context, no resources.
yeah. Well, I mean, you got to sell something. I mean, I would go door to door for
Yeah.
sure. Until I could afford not to. I don't go door to door right now. We don't really do much of that. We do a lot more online marketing.
Yeah.
But I would find something to sell. I don't know what I would sell, or maybe I would pick up a job just to get enough to get. If I were to start over right now, I would start another landscape company. If I didn't
Yeah.
have any money, I would probably go pick up a part-time job just to get some money so I could afford like a lawnmower so I could actually do so. Or I'd be like, hey, I'll cut your grass with your lawnmower.
Hmm. And
Whatever.
then
Yeah.
and then build from there.
Yeah. As soon as you get like a little bit of money, then you can start buying a little bit of equipment, boom, 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 boom. And I would go way faster. I could
Mm.
be back 2 million in 2 years instead of 8 years.
Yeah.
I would take so many more risks. I would trust myself so much more because now I have the confidence. Like I know I can do it. And that's, yeah, I mean, I would I would take way more risks. I would go way faster. I would jump in and I would hire people way faster. I would pay people more. Oh my gosh, I started paying people $12 an hour and I got these dirt bags and I couldn't figure out why. Now are people $30 an hour and they're killing it. Well, 20 to $30 an hour. And now I have
Hmm.
great people I like working with.
Yeah. I kind of have a similar story to that. I was thinking people are crazy or people just didn't want to work, but as soon as we bumped the pays and people were making actually making real money, everything changed.
Yeah, I can't wait. I don't have anyone making 100 grand a year, but I'm hoping this year someone makes 100 grand a year. I mean, one of our
Yeah.
salespeople, or something, because now we have commission. Like, I mean, there's actually potential to make quite a bit of money. I don't make 100 grand a year, because we
Yeah.
invest in business pretty much as much as we can. But, yeah, I mean, the more you can pay people, the better people you can get, and the more you can hold them accountable. And I mean, I don't like working with crappy people. I could never run a McDonald's.
Yeah. No, I mean, and the biggest thing, I mean, big entities and big teams, you don't see the Lakers bringing any scumbags. But at the same time, you don't see the Lakers paying low wages. But
Right. I
but
have
good.
one and then five okay people.
Exactly.
All so that's always been our philosophy. Expect a lot, but pay them a lot. So
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
it's worked out pretty well. So
that's good.
and employees feel appreciated, and and they're good employees, and the customers are happy. I mean, there's nothing worse than sending somebody that doesn't do a good job. Then you got to go fix it anyways. So just pay them more right off the bat. So
Yeah, that's good, man. I mean, you got to keep happy customers to keep a happy business. That's
yeah,
that's the biggest
just
thing.
post on Instagram, overpay your service people
Yeah,
or your
overpay.
yeah.
I,
I totally agree with that. I mean, you have to.
Yesterday, I was looking at my numbers and I was just thinking, we haven't received a single complaint in 3 months. What changed? And I'm like, I changed. My structure changed. Oh, so it's not anyone's fault but myself.
Extreme ownership, man.
100%. So, what's your best year? What's the biggest crew you have built? And what do you think has been the biggest sell of your life?
Yeah, so lots of questions. In the past, so like the big we've had was about 24 guys. We'll easily pass that this year. That's where we peaked last year was about 24, maybe 25 people. But we got, whenever we get up like really high like that, we get kind of fat and we got to trim it off a little bit to, get really efficient. We'll probably get up to about 30 employees this year,
Mhm.
maybe a little bit more. Kind of every year, we almost like we either double, we grow a lot, but our crew does not get a lot bigger. We'll go from 20 to maybe 30, but we'll double our revenue
Mm,
per employee. We're making a lot more money, which allows me to pay people a lot more. Uh, so yes, that was kind of the biggest. Our biggest year was 2 million last year. We've never not grown in a year.
that's good.
Uh, a great year for us. And our greatest year is going to be this year till next year. So, and then the
Yeah.
biggest skill, you know, I would say it's a great question. I would love to say, hey, I sold this huge project. I don't really do a ton of project sales anymore. That's more on the guys. I mean, Sam sold one that was 125 last year. That was our biggest one to date. But I would like to think that my best sales are with people because that's what I do. People like my biggest job in the business is to bring in leaders, and then help them grow. Like that's my job. So
Mm.
I recruit the best of the best. And so, probably my best sales were the two best guys that we have. They're two project managers right now. They're brothers. I was friends with the one and I called them up Actually, no, it was over Snapchat. I was like, dude, I was like, you looking for a new job? And he was like, nah, not really. But I convinced him to come in for an interview, and he started working for us. And then his younger brother, I was like, this was a year later. His younger brother, I knew his younger brother was awesome. He was 18 at the time, I think, and
Uh-huh.
that was last spring, and I didn't give up, man. I was on the phone trying to get him to commit for like 45 minutes, dude. I just wouldn't give up, and yeah, it was crazy. So, but then finally, like a couple of days later, I got him to commit, and it's a game changer. So,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, like, because those sales are going to pay off for years.
Yeah,
You know, definitely as of now, those would be my greatest sales. Would be
that's
people.
good. That's good. I mean, it's a complete different approach. I didn't even expect that answer, which is the best answer I've heard so far. Which is most of the times you're focusing on revenue, 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 instead of like, okay, who are my players? Who am I putting in positions? And am I putting the players in the positions that they're gonna succeed? And like you bringing in this guy for the interview was like sometimes you gotta help people help themselves, because you have what it takes to put them in a position to win. If not, you wouldn't
Yeah,
be talking to them.
absolutely. So funny. I actually got an email today, because we have an amazing culture. The guys are just phenomenal. They all get along. Everybody that works for Western loves being a part of the team, and so there's another company that we've stolen a couple people from, and we're
Mhm.
trying to get. So another guy is actually coming over in April. As soon as we start working, he's coming over. He's doing snow with them, but he's coming over as soon as we start working for the summer. And we're trying to get one of the other people to come over from that company. It's a bigger company, but they don't have good management.
Uh-huh.
Last year we hired like six of them off that company, and so I actually got an email from the owner yesterday, and he was like, "Hey, dude, like stop poaching my guys." He was kind of mad, and I just laughed. I didn't respond,
Yeah. I
but
mean,
all right. So
if
he sees it as a threat. It's good. So
if you got a better team, then
yeah, I'm like, look, dude, if we got a better opportunity, I'm not gonna. It's my responsibility to help people out. So if I can offer him something better, I'm not gonna like, he's acting like employees are your possession. Like he's like, stop trying to
exactly.
steal my employees. I'm like, dude, they're
Yeah.
not your possessions. They're not like he's like objectifying them. I'm like, they're not yours. They're well, they work for you. Like stop like we're not going to try to hide the fact that like they could maybe make more somewhere else. Like no, I mean, he's like, you probably wouldn't want me poaching your people. I was like, dude, try.
Exactly. Try. Come
Nobody
at.
Elijah is driven because someone asked my dad that at my high school graduation party, and that's what he said, so I'll keep that
Ooh.
word. I was like, that's awesome, because yeah, he's the guy who asked the question is a little bit of a mentor of mine too, and I was like, that's a great word, so I'm gonna stick with that one.
Hmm. He
So
still mentors you,
a little
that
bit.
guy.
Yeah, I mean, he would if I ever called him. He sees me every once in a while, gives me book recommendations. He's like, dude, you got to read the 1 Minute Manager. So I read it, and then he's like, next time I see him, he's like, what'd you get out of it? And I'm like, this is what it is. It's awesome. So yeah,
Aren't
driven is,
aren't those the best people to be around now?
dude. That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. Man, I don't have time for people that don't think big and like work hard and improve themselves. Oh, what a drag! Dude, what a
Right.
drag. So
Yeah.
when that are movers and shakers and get shit done, it's like life is amazing. So much easier to
Exactly.
so much easier to work hard when you're around people that are working hard.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you're in a group chat in which people are working out. Like, they're always posting things. Oh, I'm here at the gym. I'm here at the gym. And you're like sitting on a couch and you're like, oh my God, I better get on the gym. It's like you get
Yeah.
on the right groups to peer pressure you into success. I mean, if you intentionally do that.
Yeah, it's there's really not a lot of secrets, and everybody knows you're the average of the 5 people you spend your time with, but you don't really feel it, but
Yeah.
it's so true.
Because because that thing, I was really breaking it down a couple of days ago. I was like, why do people just stick around people that are not helping them? Like literally, I can see it. Like this person has so much potential, but his peer group is just holding him back. And I'm like, well, I used to be there. So what was I thinking back then? I was thinking this was normal. Okay, cool. But now I'm here. Okay, but how do I feel? Oh, I feel this is normal. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You see, like it's always the standard of the group that you're in. Like many people tell me, Darwin, you work insanely hard. That cannot be healthy. And I'm like, dude, I know people who work triple harder than me, and I'm trying to even I'm trying to get 50% there. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Seriously. Seriously. Yeah. It's that's really, what's interesting is, the things that I think about often is like, how do you get somebody out of that spot,
Mm,
that place? Because when you're around, people that are, let's call it average, it feels good, and you don't know any differently.
mm,
So like, even if you're like setting an example, they're just like, oh, he is lucky or whatever. It's so frustrating. Because like we'll have employees like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, you have so much potential. But it just, they don't really care. But how do you get people to see that? Because
how
I'm
do
really.
you do that?
What's that?
How do you do that?
Yeah. Well, I try to, motivate them one way or another, connect with
Mm,
them, figure out what their goals are, and show them a path how to get there, kind of thing.
mhm.
And then lead by example. Like, there's a so good example. I For a time I was drinking too much coffee. I gotta stop drinking so much coffee. Guy at work,
Mhm.
he kept buying Quick Trip. He kept buying this just food that wasn't good for him. I was like, dude, what are you doing? Every single time he brought it in, I gave him a hard time because that's just who I am. Like, don't eat junk.
Yeah.
That's stupid. And so I was like, all right. I was like, what's it gonna take, dude? I was like, you need to stop eating that. He's like, yeah, I know. And I was like, all right. I was like, what's it gonna take? I was like, look, I can keep saying it, but you're not doing anything. So I was like, I'll make you a deal. I'll stop drinking coffee if you stop eating Quick Trip. And a Quick Trip is a gas station by us. If you don't know what Quick Trip
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
if you
QT, yeah, yeah. It's everywhere. It's in Texas too.
well, no, it's not. It's actually, so in the Midwest, it's a little bit different.
Oh, really?
It's KIWK, but it's way better than QT, for the record. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, so we're very passionate about our Quick Trips. But yeah, so I was like, dude, I'll stop drinking coffee if you stop eating Quick Trip, and pretty much so far so good. I I actually started doing more diet stuff, and I did start drinking coffee again, but I only drink 1 cup a day, so I'm happy with that. And he's been rolling pretty solid too. So I guess that's one example. But I wish
Yeah,
I could be. He was somebody that I had a really good. I feel like there's got to be a relationship first, but
yeah,
there's other people that I see that I just try to get them to see the light, and it's like, man, there's so much more out there in life, and they're just unhappy. And I talk to him and I try to challenge him, but it doesn't always work. So that's something I'm
yeah.
figuring out how to do better.
I think I mean John Maxwell says it all the time, right? People change whenever they hurt enough, whenever that they people change whenever they hurt enough that they have to change. People change whenever they know enough, whenever they decide to change, or people change whenever they get inspired enough to change. So it's like we can go those three ways, but some people, just the pain is not painful enough.
Hmm.
Like I'm hurting. I'm in a base salary and I'm making 50 grand a year, but I can still pay rent. I mean, I live in this crappy house, but it's not that bad. We're doing good. Like every freaking time that I hear anybody say I'm good, it's totally the opposite. Even when I'm offering people services and they're like, I'm good, I'm like, you're not. For sure. Because people that are good, they don't say I'm good. They say I'm taken care of. I'm excellent. I'm doing amazing. They don't say I'm
Yeah,
good.
you're so right. When someone asks me how I'm doing, I'm like, dude, I'm doing wonderful. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, because I am good. Good is so boring. It's like, wow, I'm
When
good.
people tell you I'm good, you're already thinking, what's wrong?
Yeah,
Automatically, right? It's like
yeah,
we we associate average with bad. Like I was thinking today, right? I was thinking about making a video because I'm taking my two lead cleaners for dinner today.
yeah.
And I'm like, hey, we're going to this restaurant. She's like, how much is that going to cost? I'm like, you don't have to worry about it. You just order from the left side of the menu. So you know how they give you the menu, and left side is everything that's in the dish, you know, and then the right side is the price. So it's like,
Yeah,
and I'm like, I thought about it. I'm like that. I look at the left side of the menu in life. I look at what I want, and then I figure the price later. You
that's
see,
good.
I'm like, wow, I came up with something, you know? I'm like, I want this, and that, and then look at the price. Like, I want this house, I want this car, I want this family, I want this many kids, whatever it costs, I'm gonna figure it out. But bring it to me, you know?
100%. Yeah,
It,
it's
so,
it's the thing is, I mean, living in America, it's possible, and it's so frustrating to see people abuse that, especially, I really appreciate like immigrants and people that come in and just appreciate the country and like the gift that we have. Because I was talking to a guy who he's from Norway,
uh,
and he runs this he runs like a dealership, like a car dealership,
mm,
and he was talking about what we had here, and he's like, dude, it's amazing. And I'm like, it is amazing, but so many people that I talk to are just they it's like not everybody has it like this. So,
yeah,
you know, dude, you can't, like, they just take everything for granted. It's like, dude, we have such an amazing opportunity here. Take advantage of it.
yeah. You gotta see it from the opportunity eye spectrum, because you will see the world how you are, not how it is. I always ask, like, how are you doing? Like, I ask specific questions just to see how this person answers. You know, most of the time, whenever I'm carrying interviews, I don't really care about their answer. I care
Mhm.
about how they respond. Like, are they enthusiastic as they're saying the things? Even if they haven't had the best life possible, are they optimistic? Like the way that they're talking, because that's the way that they will work. Like how you do something is how you do everything.
I
Like,
love
and every single time I've gotten an interview and I haven't felt like pumped, I'm like, I cannot wait for this person to start. Every time it comes to be a person that I shouldn't have hired. So now I'm like, I got four things in front of me, four things that that person's got to have. It's got to have integrity, a student mentality, working hard kind of deal, in which I ask them questions like, if a job wouldn't be complete, will you stay an extra 30 minutes just to make sure the customer's taken care of? Like, and I can see if they're lying, because if they're
it.
not super enthusiastic about yes, then they're not staying, you know. And then the fourth is I'm looking forward to the future. Like if I hear somebody talking about their family, kind of like hear you talk and talking about future plans, future, it's way, way, way of a good candidate, because the bad candidates talk about the past. Oh, I used to have this boss I hate. Oh, this job. Oh, that. It's like we're
Yeah,
not trying to fix the past. We're trying to push ourselves to the future, right? Kind of what Brendan Dawson was talking about. Don't talk to me about all your problems from the past. You met me now. So what are we gonna do about the future?
absolutely. Yeah, you got the guys that, yeah, they just go on and on and on about what they used to do. It's like, dude, I really do not care. Like, what are you doing?
Exactly. Even about their success, it gets old. Even about the person that says, "Oh, a year ago I sold $2 million." Like, okay,
What
yesterday's home run is not gonna win today's game, man. Like, what are you doing today? It's funny because you and I, like, we get a $1 million sell, and it's like, okay, $1 million sell, so that's for you. That would be 50% of your company. Like, you're trying to replace that person. You're like, okay, I need to get 2 million now, so I get my leverage back. Because if that customer pulls out, 50% of my business is gone.
100%. Yeah, well, I don't get $1 million sales, but
No, 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 no. Let's say,
yeah.
let's say. I mean, you get there. Come on,
Oh, yeah,
think bigger.
probably have like next year, the year after, we're going after big construction companies, and yeah, but no, I know what you're saying. Yeah, like I'll make some big move, and so many people are like, "Oh my gosh, dude, that's crazy." I'm like, I already like forgot about it. I'm looking like, all right, what am I doing? Like, what's the next thing I'm doing? Like,
Yeah.
expecting that to happen. I'm looking at what's happening, this, like later this year, next year, whatever. People are
Yeah.
like talking about the building that we're putting up a new building for a new location for us. Like, oh, that's so amazing. I'm like, yeah, it is pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, I'm super pumped about it. But I'm like, I'm already looking at like, all right, where's our next location going to be?
Yeah.
Like we're building this one, and I'm already looking at like, what's the next one going to be? So I was
Yeah.
like, when are we going to location?
How many locations do you guys have?
We just have one.
Okay, but
Um,
you're
so we,
you're building.
but it's way too small. And so we own a couple acres in a suburb of Madison that we're working on building right now. And then future plans, I want to start a new location really soon, and either on the other side of Madison or move one to like Milwaukee or something.
Cool.
So
That's good. That's good. Why Milwaukee?
what's that?
Why Milwaukee?
Because it's an hour away. I
Mm.
don't have to like fly. So, and I could live like in between Madison and Milwaukee. And it would be like a 45-minute drive or 30-minute drive either way. So, it'd be easy. It's a very similar market.
Mm.
So, be super fast to go in there, I could, if I need to be in Madison, I could be in Madison. Otherwise, I could be focusing on Milwaukee or something. And
Mhm.
it's a bigger city. So, it's like at least twice the size of Madison. So,
Yeah, and then your clientele will grow in a bigger. It's more of a dense community than where you're at.
yeah, and then you could even have one guy that would potentially, say like long term, have one guy that's like a regional manager for both locations or something.
Hmm.
I don't know. Because I also like Wisconsin. All my friends are in Wisconsin, or most of them are. My family's here, so
Yeah,
I be in Wisconsin. But I would like to open like a Florida location at some point because Florida's just badass. So
yeah. You get into that Miami life.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you
Um,
get
I was
those contracts are really good.
I was talking to a guy at GrowthCon that owned a hardscape business down there and that wanted to sell it, but it's not the right time for me. But otherwise, I would like consider it.
Yeah, keep the contact. You never know.
Yeah,
Especially people that want to sell. It's like a house. They want to get out of it, and if they don't sell it in the next 2 years, then they put it at 50%. Like it's like
yeah,
I want to get rid of it.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Plus, if they sell it to somebody that they want to buy it, like I can't tell you how many times I've used my just like the fact that I'm younger, like I'm starting out. That's like always my pitch for these older guys because I try to get them to see their younger self in me, and then
Yeah.
they'll do anything for me. It's amazing. So I kind of use my youngness maybe a little bit too much, but it worked. So
Hey, you gotta be a good storyteller. The best salespeople, actually, the best people on earth are salespeople. And the people
yeah,
and people who don't label themselves as salespeople, they're salespeople. They just don't make money off of their ideas. That's it. Because everyone is selling their narrative. If they're a 9 to 5, they're selling the idea of 9 to 5, and they're phenomenal at it. Like
they should.
they have talked themselves into a 9 to 5, and they have talked all their peer group into it, and then also the entrepreneur. Because all the friends that I used to have, like, kind of like just like separated from me. We don't talk anymore. But 90%, I think 90, yeah, 90, just to live a 10% there, are 90% of my friends are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
90% of
Do you say entrepreneur or entrepreneur?
entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs. Sorry.
EN or IN?
En.
Okay. Well, I
Spanish.
mean, there's
Spanish.
PBD talks about that. Brandon Dawson has talked about that.
Yeah, you
You
have
know,
an entrepreneur working in your company, kind of like
yeah,
developing. Yeah, the difference is that the entrepreneur doesn't put any money on the deal, so no risk. So the entrepreneur is taking all the risk.
yeah. There's some pretty badass entrepreneurs, though. I will
No,
say.
for sure. I think that if a person's in development of a company, I think they're an entrepreneur without a title. Like as long
Yeah,
as you're developing an idea, product, or something for the future, and like let's say this guy, Mr. Turner, that Grant brought to the conference. You remember the guy I worked with, Warren Buffett, and all these guys.
yeah,
For me, he's an entrepreneur. He just decided to be next to the best guys. You know,
yeah,
by definition, he's an entrepreneur. Same thing with Jared. the blonde guy that works for Grant. Like, in my opinion,
Yeah,
he can build his own brand and be great, but he decides to pair up with Grant. But same with
yeah,
Brandon.
100%. Yeah, and I mean, like honestly though, like some people like taking all the risk just isn't the right move. Like, I think there's a lot of people that start their own little small business, and it's like, dude, like, what are you doing? If you
Yeah.
found an entrepreneur to work with that was building something amazing, I'd be like, dude, come work with me. Build you're amazing at what you do, and you're good at one thing, but you're not taking risks, you're not a good leader, or whatever the case may be. Maybe you're a
Mm,
great leader, but you're not good at marketing, or you're not good at this, you're not good at that. And come work with me and build something inside of what I'm doing.
mm,
Because there can only there you know some people just aren't built for it. I really think that's the case. And like I've never been the top earning person that Western. Never been
mm,
the top.
mm,
When I have equity in the business. So, when we sell it, or, as it gets bigger, yeah, well, I start making more from them. Yeah, but not everybody needs to take that huge risk. I'm still building
that's
something
it.
amazing. And down the road, there's gonna be a huge payoff. So
Yeah.
there's benefits to both. And people underestimate what you can do as somebody growing inside an organization. If you find the right person to work under, it'd be phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. So you believe in both the entrepreneur and the entrepreneur.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Me too. I feel that the
Well,
same way too.
I need people like that. Otherwise I
Hmm.
couldn't.
Yeah, we couldn't build.
So,
No way.
I gotta reward those people. And, yeah, I'm taking risks, so I expect to make a little more than them. But at the end of the day, I mean, they're working just as hard as I am.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So, I
true.
mean, I'm just putting up risk.
Biggest
Taking,
thing, man.
yeah. So,
Biggest thing. Biggest thing. But good. It was great. It was great having you, Elijah. Looking forward to seeing you, man. I mean, we don't have to just see each other at GrowthCon. You can always come to Austin. My house is your house. You're welcome to visit. It's a really fun town, especially in March and in the summer. So if you're ever in Texas, just hit me up.
all
Um,
right. I'll do that, Darwin. That's awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me. This has been a good time. So I appreciate the invite. And yeah, let's stay connected for sure.
That's good. That's good. Thanks, brother. I'll
Yeah.
see you. I'll catch you there. I'll send you some of my notes. I learned a ton, so I appreciate you making it in. And then I'll see you next time. Okay.
All right. Peace out, man. Take care.
All right. Bye.